Hey, what's up everybody? Ramey here, and today what we're doing is I'm going to talk about a do-it-yourself 45-degree back hyperextension setup that is effective and works. Super easy, super inexpensive because you probably all have the stuff. It really does work. It's effective, you can load it, it works really well. Surprisingly, it works really well. It's not one of those cheap do-it-yourself, it is a cheap do-it-yourself setup, but like it's one that actually works for people. I'm going to show two variations because one is with 1-inch, one is with 5/8. The 1-inch people will be able to do both variations. The 5/8-inch people, you're only going to be able to do one of them. Super easy. I've seen a lot of 45-degree hyper do-it-yourself setups on YouTube and Instagram and stuff. There's one area though, because I tried some of them and I was like, and mine's basically just a copy of them. Like this isn't like an original idea that I'm some brilliant person, no. I've literally watched other people have this very similar, if not exact setup. I am not original, I am just trying to talk about like doing this yourself and actually making it work. There's one area that really makes or breaks this exercise as something you can do it yourself, and I want to talk about that. All right, so let me, first let me show you doing hyperextensions.
Up in a bar, I'll be a superstar. Just on my avatar. This world is so bizarre. Empty out the reservoir. Yeah. I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay.
Alright, so now that I've done some hyperextension, you got to see it, let me show you my setup. So my setup is using safety pins from my safety spotters, my pin and pipes. You can absolutely use leg rollers for this setup, but I'm just using pin and pipes because that's what I have. If you have pin and pipes, you literally don't need to buy leg rollers. They will work just as well, assuming you have a pad. So you can see how I'd set this up. All right, let me just put a picture up now that I've kind of walked around it. Let me just put a picture up on the screen of the setup so I can talk about it in different places as I'm going through. So what I've done, so let's start with the legs. So first of all, for the legs, I've set my safety pin up. Actually, when I set both safety pins up, I had to kind of play with it a little bit to find where the correct height was, because you want the height for the stomach just above your man area on your hips and waist, just as safety spotters would be, or just as a normal Roman chair would be. You want it just above your hips, above your man area, so that your area is not hurt during this, and that's not where you want the weight anyway. If for some reason you're touching that place, you are not doing this. It should be on your hips, just below your waistline, like right on your hips. You shouldn't be near that area. You should be able to get comfortable just fine without being near them. All right, so you have to find the right height. So what I did is I actually took I didn't need to do this, but it turns out where it was comfortable for me was about 44 degrees. So I took like my little angle and measured it. But you want to kind of play around with the height, which is something that's actually cool. You can actually make this lower or higher depending on your height. I mean, you're literally just sticking it in your rack at different heights. For the feet, same thing. You kind of want to figure out where to put your feet. Once you place it, I put a little mark on my rack so I know where to put them each time. So let's start with the feet. And I already did talk about the hip a little bit, but I'll get back to that because that's kind of where the big butt is, big important part. For the feet, you need something to hold your feet down. You do need an area to hold it. You've got to be secure in the feet area. You can't just have nothing here. If you try to do this with no foot holder, it's just going to be a failure. You're going to get really frustrated because your feet are going to want to go up in the air. It's terrible. So don't even try it. You must have a foot holder. So you got to have a foot holder to hold your feet in. Your feet will anchor off the ground just fine, but you need something to hold your ankles down right here. All right, now the big thing that kind of makes or breaks this exercise is this hip area. It's right here. And one of the reasons that I watched a lot of do-it-yourself videos, and some of them literally just took a bar and were doing this on a bar. I tried that and it felt like death. I really thought that like my insides were going to explode because there was no pad there. You got to think, so when you're doing a Roman chair, if you look at my legs, the Roman chair, typically all the pressure is in a nice square area on my whole entire, like, you know, at least like 6 to 8, maybe even 10, 12 inches on my thigh. So when I'm on a Roman chair, all that pressure is sucked into my thigh area. When I'm doing it like this, all the pressure is literally on my hips, just like a hip thrust. Now, a lot of us do a hip thrust with hundreds of pounds on them, so we can do the 45 hyper here just fine as well. The key is making sure that there is a good pad here. I've seen people like wrap a yoga mat, like that's not gonna work. You have to have a pad. That's why leg rollers are actually great for this, because they have a really nice pad on them. I'm actually using this is a generic squat rack pad that I bought from Amazon for like 10 bucks. They sell them all over Amazon and Walmart. $10. I use this for everything. I use this thing for hip thrusts, and I use it for squats. I use it for this. Well, I use it for Zercher squats. That's the kind of squat I use it for. I use it for this. Literally just goes right on. It is super comfortable. Literally $10, so cheap. And I use this pad for so much that I get so much out of it. You can also buy good pads. Like with my Rep GHD, I actually have nice like extra pads. Like I got some leg pads that I can put on here as well. They fit right on this 1-inch bar. But the key to this exercise, the big but with doing this yourself, is you 100% must have a good pad. If you do not have a good pad, it's gonna hurt and it's gonna suck and you're gonna hate it and you're gonna be like, I'm not doing this. Now, one trick I want to talk about with safety pins, and then let's talk about the other variation, is how far can you stick these in and still use them. I use safety pins as my leg holder, but if you stick 1-inch safety pins into a rack, as you see, I can actually stick this almost all the way in, and it's still supporting any weight that you're going to throw at it. With 5/8-inch pins, they're going to bend. One of the advantages of 1-inch racks are the safety pins and the rollers. So with a 1-inch rack, you are good to literally put this, like you can place this so far into your rack that it works. Now, let's talk about the variation, because what is the variation? Variation is quite simple. So the variation is that instead of a safety pin or a leg roller, literally just use a barbell. Stick your barbell in your J cup, your weight will push, hold on a second, your weight will push against the barbell so that it can't move in the J cup, almost like you're doing, you know, you could do a hip thrust with your back on this as well, but all your weight's gonna be right here. So with those of you with 5/8-inch racks, you are gonna do this with a barbell. And you're gonna do it just like that. Super easy. As I said, the key, let me pull back here. I'm sitting on my safety pin. As I've said, the key to doing this correctly is making sure you have good padding. If you do not have good padding, this is gonna suck. It's gonna be a crappy exercise that you're trying to do at home. So do it with good padding, super easy to set up, play around with it. I love that there's even a progression. You can do like all the stuff that I can do with safety pins or leg rollers. There's just so many exercises that you can do well with them. It amazes me. I should just do a whole video on all the different stuff you can do with leg rollers. I mean, or as I do it with my safety pins. All the stuff that you can do with them just amazes me, because there's just so many exercises that are effective and done actually well with them. So go ahead, give it a try. I'm telling you, it actually does work. The trick is just having a good pad right there. Later on.